Cool. So welcome everyone. I see some familiar faces, but also some new ones. So it's nice to be, that there's a diverse crowd here. I'm going to be covering, for those of you who already came to the first session, I'm going to be covering most of what we went through for that session, but I'm also going to add a little bit more information on the application part of the fellowships, especially because it's coming out pretty soon. So yeah, I want to get started by giving you a little bit of context on what this MathQuantum RPG program is broadly, because the fellowships themselves are a subset of that program, and I think it's important to know what the program overall means. So it's a project funded by the National Science Foundation for at least the next 5 years. It's a grant that can be renewed every 5 years. So we're hoping that after these 5 years, we're going to keep it going. But at the very least, we have guaranteed funding for the next 5 years. The main goals that we have are to bring more mathematicians and mathematics into the world of quantum information science, and to advance mathematics by solving research problems in that realm, the realm of quantum information science. So the important part for you all, I think, is to understand that the invitation is that there's no need to have a background in quantum. And maybe in some ways that a lack of background in quantum is embraced because we want to get a diverse set of perspectives. Maybe people that are coming from math and have never heard about quantum, and once they learn about it, they can provide some of that, like new perspectives, new ways of looking at problems and things like that. All right. So the program itself, we like to conceptualize it as coming through two branches. One of them is the research program, which basically involves sort of what my previous slide suggested, the combination of mathematics and quantum concepts. So the idea is that we have identified these mathematical areas or tools or techniques, and then a set of quantum areas of interest, and we want to blend them all together. And then the other part is an education program that we're going to be that we have assembled, and we're going to start in spring of 2023. That includes a variety of different aspects, and I'm going to get into more detail about all these things. So these two things combine into what we call the vertically integrated research training group. And so the definition of that is that vertical integration, this is a term from the National Science Foundation, and it means that all the members of the research group are contributing meaningfully and are collaborating organically. And so that means that undergrads, grad students, postdocs, and faculty and professors are all sort of like converging together. Unlike in some maybe more conventional situations where like an undergrad student is interacting with a grad student, but maybe not as much with a professor, things like that. So we want everyone to kind of like collaborate and participate. And so with all of that, with the goal of making research, doing research that advances mathematics to solve QIS or by solving QIS questions, and also bring in undergrads, grad students, postdocs, and faculty to advance their careers by doing this research on the intersection of math and quantum. So I'm not going to go into detail about these three quantum areas that I have up there before. I'm just going to mention them. So like they're called quantum algorithms, quantum part of the quantum dynamics systems. And as I suggested in the previous slide, the idea is to combine mathematical tools so that we can do research on that intersection. So there's a lot of different math that can be used for doing research in quantum. This is a subset of that, and so I just wanted to show this so that if you're seeing some words there, some concepts there, that you're like, oh, I know this, or oh, I'm interested in this. This fellowship is likely for you because all of these can be applied to these problems. And similarly, if you're already working in quantum in any of these areas, but you want to enhance the work that you're doing by bringing in some of this math, then also this fellowship is a good place for you. Right. So before we get into the fellowship part, concretely, I just wanted to advertise some of the remaining events that we have for this semester in the MathQuantum program. If you want to find more information about this and RSVP, which we appreciate, you can go to mathquantum.umd.edu/event. But yeah, all of these are happening after break. The first one is a lecture by Constantina Teresa. It's the second part of this thing she called Gentle Introduction to Quantum Computing for Mathematicians. Then we're going to have a seminar that's more research oriented. Someone's his name is Emil. He's going to come and talk about how QIS can be used to do research in quantum gravity areas. Then we're going to have a panel from people that are working outside of academia at this intersection of mathematics and quantum. It's going to be online. And then finally, we're going to watch a documentary and have some pizza and talk about it. And yeah, those two last ones are in the subject. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the fellowship, and if anyone has questions as I go through this, feel free to raise your hand, interrupt me, and I'm happy to answer. And then we should have time at the end anyway to also answer questions. So I showed you this graphic here, and I want to just sort of like put that in the context of the fellowship itself. So the idea that undergrads, grad students, postdocs who are fellows will contribute to the research part and will benefit from the educational components that we're putting together. So what is a good fit for this fellowship? We think of two populations generally, but if you don't fit within these two, there might be a place for you anyway. And if you think you don't, neither of these two apply to you, feel free to come to me, ask me, tell me about your situation, and we can discuss whether this fellowship is likely to work for you. But the idea is that we want to bring in current math students that have little or no experience with information science, but they want to start doing research in this area. And then we would want to bring in current students that have moderate or high experience with information science, and they want to advance their work they're doing by bringing in more rigorous math or learning new math skills to enhance that research. Okay, so what is the eligibility? I'm gonna kind of like list undergrad, grad, and postdoc just to cover all the different types of populations. But for undergrads, you have to be an undergrad at UMD. But also we have spring and fall fellowships, but we also have summer fellowships. The summer fellowships, you can be from any school, and it's likely that everyone here is from UMD. But if you have any friends that you know outside of the area, maybe that are interested in quantum, feel free to advertise this to them. Because for summer, you can be from any institution. You can be any standing, doesn't matter what year you are. And then you can be any major, but we will prioritize math, physics, computer science, and electrical and computer engineering. For the grad students, you have to be a current grad student. But if you're an undergrad that's interested in grad school at UMD, you can also apply for the fellowship. So undergrads in the room who maybe are like later in their career and they might be thinking about grad school already, this could be a place for you to apply. And again, if you have any friends that are outside of the institution that are thinking about going to grad school, feel free to tell them about it. The timing requirement is that you have to have enough time before graduation to complete a set of requirements that we have for the fellowship. I'm going to talk about those, but in general, that should be like a year and a half or so before you graduate. And then you can be from any program, but we're going to prioritize math, physics, CS, and ET, and applied the AMS program, the applied math program is also, of course, suitable. And then the postdoc fellowship is for someone that's a PhD holder or a graduate student that's close to graduating. Like if you're thinking already about defending your thesis, you can start thinking about applying for this program. So, this might apply also to some grad students here at UNB. And then you can have any PhD degree, but we will prioritize that same subset of disciplines. So because we are funded by the National Science Foundation, a very specific type of grant, we cannot offer the stipend aspect of our fellowship to non-US citizens or non-permanent residents. People that are non-US persons can become fellows, and they will receive the travel support part of the fellowship and then the educational benefits. And they will also, because they're not getting the stipend, they will have a lower set of requirements. So I'm going to go over what the stipend thing is on travel is, but I just wanted to be upfront about this. Right, so which is not, so the undergrads, we are expecting to accept about 6 undergrads per year for those 5 years that I mentioned. The expectation is that you will participate for at least one term, so like during spring, during fall, or during summer, but you can renew the fellowship, you can reapply. Of course, it will be competitive with everyone else that's applying for that term, but you can ask to continue getting funding, additionally to just that one term. If you participate in summer, you would be getting 5,200 as a stipend. That's for 8 weeks of participation. You would get housing at UMD, and you would get travel to come to UMD if, I don't know, for some reason you're like not local. And then if you participate in the fall and spring, you would get 2,500 stipend. And the time for that, so like I said, summer is for 8 weeks. The time for the fall or spring is not like completely defined. That's something that we would expect you and your mentor to determine, how much time commitment you both think is worth for that amount of pay. And then you would get $1,000 in travel for going to a conference or a workshop or something like that. For grad students, we expect to accept about 5 per year. This is the ones that receive a stipend. So the minimum participation would be 1 year. You can also renew it, so you could reapply and compete against everyone that's applying to keep getting the stipend. And the stipend would be $37K and then tuition. You would also get the $1,000 in travel. And so I say that five graduate students per year, that's the ones that are receiving this full package. But we also have enough funding to give a little bit more of the travel funds, up to between 5 and 10 more people per year. So that would apply to the non-US citizens and to those that are citizens, but they apply and maybe they're not accepted to be a fellow with a stipend. But we say we're giving you an offer as a fellow just with the travel. Of course, you would have the lower set of requirements, but you would still be able to join the fellowship that way. And then for the postdocs, the expectation is that they will work between 1 and 3 years. They will receive between 65 and 70K per year plus benefits, and then they will receive $6,000 of travel. So again, due to funding restrictions, we can only offer this part. This middle row can only be offered to US citizens or permanent residents. And someone that becomes a fellow as a non-US person would receive the travel. And then they would have a lower set of requirements that I'm going to explain in a few slides. So what are some of the non-financial benefits? We have planned to provide one-on-one career planning meetings. So every fellow will meet with me and Constantina Teresa, who is the PI of the award, the principal investigator of the award, at the beginning of the fellowship to kind of like come up with a career plan, and then we would check up with you regularly to see how you're doing and keep track of what your goals are and how you're working towards them. We will be offering about 1 professional development workshop per month. We have partnerships with industry and government to give internships to people that want to participate. Of course, you would be working on a research project that's at the intersection of math and quantum, and those would be mediated with through a mentor who can be faculty, grad student, or postdoc, or a combination of them. Again, with this idea of the vertical integration in mind. And then we're going to have a bunch of different community building activities. I think maybe what we're doing this semester can give you a sense of what that might be looking like. So, like just different types of workshops to bring people together, an annual symposium, like the film nights that we've been doing because you are familiar with those. And then we have put together a set of MathQuantum courses. So there's going to be one in the fall that brings mathematicians up to speed on what is necessary to do work in quantum information science. So all the concepts and all the math. And then in the spring, there will be an applications course where you take that theory and then you start like solving problems or like possibly even working with quantum hardware to test like an algorithm or something like that. So the second one is expected to be more project-based. And then in the fall and the spring, we're going to offer this thing called RIT, which is our research interaction team on quantum information. And the idea with that one is a little bit more like seminar style, where the people that are participating are going to read a paper and present it, or like have lectures by like have invited people come and talk about the research, stuff like that. All right, so we're also going to be offering this thing called the proposal writing summer school, where basically you're gonna get like a bootcamp style introduction to what it's like to write a proposal, and actually you will write a proposal draft, and based on a funding opportunity that's real that you have identified. So if you're an undergrad, maybe you would be applying for scholarships or fellowships, and you find one, and we like guide you through the process of like writing that draft. If you're a grad student, maybe some sort of fellowship, or if you're later on in your career, applications for postdoctoral jobs or for postdoctoral fellowships. So that's kind of like the idea of that. It's very practical and like oriented towards like a real goal that you have in your career. We have a workshop that's like a week long on discussing and identifying your interests within the social impact of quantum information science. And then we will providing some opportunities for you to engage in outreach, mentoring, and other types of leadership. Okay, so this is pretty overwhelming sort of compression of all of the components of the fellowship. The reason that we put it here is just so that you can get a sense of when they're offered within a given year. But I want to emphasize that these whatever is in this table that is a requirement for the fellowship can be fulfilled over several years. So you don't have to necessarily take the RIT and the fall course in the same semester. You could do the course in fall of 2023 and then the RIT in the fall of 2024 or something like that. But I just wanted to give you a sense here of that, because so I'm going to go through these. So the first, as I mentioned in the diagram that had the arrows, the educational component is separated into 4 different types. So the mentoring is just supposed to include you having a mentor that's going to guide you through the research project at the intersection of math and quantum, and then the one-on-one support that I mentioned of like the career development stuff. The education part includes the 2 courses that I mentioned, the RIT that I mentioned, the societal impact workshop, and then the proposal writing school. The professional experience part involves teaching, so we have a teaching requirement. I'm going to explain a little bit that in a second. And then internships, which at industry or government, which are optional, and then the 12 professional development workshops I mentioned, so like about 1 per month. And finally, the community building will include things like our group meetings, an event that's supposed to be conceptualized by the graduate student fellows, and then like executed with my help and the help of everyone else. This thing we call a vertical integration workshop, which I'm not gonna get into detail, but I can explain it to anyone that wants to learn more about it. We're gonna have presence at Maryland Day, and then we're gonna have an annual research symposium for all the fellows and faculty, where it's sort of like a conference where people are gonna present posters and oral presentations and stuff like that. But so just to give you a sense of what these workshops that we're offering throughout the year look like, it's just gonna be topics chosen by getting the input of the fellows and also talking to actual employers to see what they think are important skills that are not typically taught in the lab or in class, that they want to see, individuals they're hiring with have coming out of grad school or undergrad. And so it can be things like building your a professional page, a workshop on CVs and resumes, a workshop on LinkedIn, talking about ethics, things like imposter syndrome, how to mentor, how to find jobs, how to apply for jobs, interview skills, and then things like communication, like visual communication, illustrating things, and stuff like that. So the community building, I already mentioned these. So we have a grad-led event, the vertical integration workshop, a symposium, and then participation in Maryland Day. Right, and so let's get into the requirements. So the first one is to do the project, like a research project with a mentor, and that's required from all three populations. The second one is to attend the professional development workshops, and so for undergrads, we expect them to attend to at least one while they're a fellow, and then for grad students and postdocs, we expect them to attend at least two. And these workshops are like like an hour to an hour and a half long kind of thing. For the courses, the grad fellows have to take the two courses on the RIT and one session of the RIT, and then the postdocs have to take it or teach those. For the societal impact workshop, every type of fellow has to participate in it once. For the proposal writing summer school, if you're an undergrad in the summer program, you should be part of it, and then the grad student and postdoc have to participate in it once. Teaching, there's a requirement of 2 semesters for teaching for grad students, and then 1 class every semester for the postdocs. Grad students are expected to mentor the undergrads in the program, with that whole idea of vertical integration, and then postdocs as well. Attending a community events is expected from everyone, and then going to doing outreach on Maryland Day is expected once from every fellow. So with all of these requirements, we will interact with each fellow as they're starting their fellowship and determine what makes sense and what does not make sense for them to complete. We don't want redundancy, we don't want to waste people's time. And so previous experience could count towards some of these requirements. As an example, if you already TA, if you're a grad student and you already did TA, we will talk to you, we will ask you, what type of TA did you do? If it was substantial, if it wasn't just like grading for a class, it will very likely count. And if you only did grading, we will likely just ask you to probably not ask you to teach a class again, but maybe ask you to go to a teaching seminar or teaching workshop or something like that. So that's kind of more on a one case by case basis, depending on the situation of the person. Right, and so these are the requirements for those that are not getting a stipend. So basically, it would be to do the research, to take one of these. So either the course, either the fall course, the spring course, or 2 semesters of the RIT. So basically, an equivalent of about 3 credits, and then attending the community events. All right. What does the application look like? If you want to find out more details, you can go to that link of MathQuantum.edu/apply, and then the components are a Google form that just asks for some basic info from you, and that's for all of the fellow types. We ask for a statement of interest in MathQuantum. That's maximum 1 page. A statement of research or goals, that is 2 pages maximum. For you to provide your resume or CV, and that's only for grad students and postdocs. And then letters of recommendation, we want 1 minimum from the undergrads and grad students, and then 3 from the postdocs. So a few tips on these statements. If you're coming from math and don't have quantum experience, my recommendation would be to sort of try to emphasize your interests and excitement for quantum information science, and then identifying what are your strongest math interests or skills, and try to convey the connections that there might be with quantum information science. So, if you go back to these slides at the beginning when I listed all of the mathematical areas that are pretty relevant to quantum, and you identify something there that is it's interesting to you, or that you already have some experience with, that's a great point to start and talk about how you are interested in that or have already experience with it, and then try to make some connections with the quantum. It can be choosing from the 3 themes that we have listed, or something different. And then if you're coming from quantum information science already, then my recommendation would be to instead emphasize how you can add more mathematical tools or rigor to existing interests and work. And so this might seem potentially a little bit kind of okay, I don't know quantum, so how do I identify what areas of quantum are relevant to my math skills at this point? The point of our program is to get you there, so it's kind of odd to ask that in the application part, right? We're not going to be evaluating that with a lot of rigor. We really just want to see like what you're bringing to the table at this point. But if you want to get a little bit deeper into that and have a little bit of structure on how to think about it, we did a workshop maybe last month or something, where we had people explore that that intersection between math and quantum in a guided way. And I'm happy to share the worksheet from that workshop that should be pretty like easy to do on your own. Like it's kind of like very self-guided. So if you're interested in getting this worksheet and using it as a way, a mechanism for you to think about that, you can email me for it. So my email is this: esbolte@unity.edu. Okay, so the deadlines for upcoming deadlines for the undergrad and grad programs, spring 2024 fellowships, it's coming pretty soon. It's December 8th. And then for the undergrad summer fellowships, February 16th. If this is like too short for you, just to make you aware, we will be offering fellowships every fall. So the spring fellowships are an exception just because of some logistical things. But the next fellowship then would be the next round of applications would be opening sometime early in the spring semester, and then you would start your fellowships in the fall of 2024. So if this is too short for you, there's it's not too long before you can apply it. Okay, and with that, I am just gonna open the floor for questions and ask you to take a picture of that or go to that link if you want to give us some feedback on this session. I would appreciate it. But yeah, let's hear questions if you have.